This is the hero's journey, a journey through the hero's journey with Adam.b, your boy, aka Juicy Flow, aka Main Flex. So this is where the protagonist starts at. He's usually kind of weak, little guy. This is him. He's got like a little kid's hat and a lunchbox because he's a kid. He's going to school. His mom probably packed his lunch. This is what he's trying to get to. We call this Giga Chad. And, you see his sort of stature. He's got big delts, round, pectorials. These are quads. This is called a quad sweep. I don't really know how to draw calves, but he would have calves if I could draw calves. This is usually where the protagonist starts at. He's on the couch. He's sitting, he's sort of in a... They're usually in a rut. There's not much progress going on, just day by day, kind of the same thing. All is well. Protag, short for protagonist, is content, but not fulfilled. When you kind of go into your 9 to 5, everything's good. You're paying your bills. You're doing a thing day by day. But something's missing. Typically ruled by UNC, short for unconscious. A lot of abbreviations here. Forces within the unconscious. He refuses to face, usually something driving him. What remains in your unconscious becomes your destiny. Carl Jung. This is the antagonist. This is like a robber's hat to signify antagonist. He's kind of smiling because he's about to steal some shit from the protagonist. Or sometimes it could be someone the protagonist knows. Not always has to be the protagonist, but it has to affect the protagonist in some way. This is a bag of money. This is Fido, his dog. It can also be wife, mother, girlfriend, etc., etc. It can also be, this is just a signifier. It can be like nature or, some other event, some sort of antagonistic event that forces you to make some sort of decision. For the normal person, underachiever, to move, exclamation mark, he's doing something, he's saying, hey. And the antagonist, he's got the money, and Fido, not Fido. And so now he has to make a decision. He has to move. He has to go through the first door of no return. There's usually 2 doors of no return. The first one, door 1, and then he makes some sort of decision after the first one that causes him to not be able to return again back to the normal life. Once you make that decision, that's it. There's no going back. You've invested money, you maybe got that college scholarship or, whatever it is, you can't go back. You started the business and you can't stop now. This is him, the hero, on his horse. That is a horse. This is like the leash. He doesn't have a saddle because he's raw. And he's going on the journey. This is the road. The hero's journey. Usually somewhere along the journey he meets, if it's some sort of anime or something, he meets some very likable, cute little cuddly thing, like Pokemon, like a Pikachu or something like that, or he meets, the useful comrade. This guy, he has a harp. I don't know what he does with the harp. Maybe he plays it to put enemies to sleep or something like that. And then further along, there might be another door, either somewhere here or maybe before here, where a second door of no return, where now this guy, aka this guy, he's got the attention of the protagonist, and he can't go back now. He knows who the protagonist is. He knows who the protagonist is. At some point, he meets a romantic interest, although it can also deviate if the protagonist is a female, because it's 2024. Women can also be protagonists, and there actually is a archetypal feminine hero's journey. It's not the same as a male's journey, which is why when you pluck the female out of a male hero's journey archetypal story, it doesn't work, and we sense that. We lose interest. That's why the Marvels failed, which is why basically all the Marvel movies and TV shows are failing, because they try to replace the male archetype with the female archetype without changing the archetypal motif, and that simply does not work. You have several obstacles. Obstacle 1, obstacle 2. Sometimes things get worse after obstacle 1 and obstacle 2. Sometimes things get better after obstacle 1 and obstacle 2. But there's usually some sort of progression. And after every obstacle, the protagonist learns something new about themselves, and they have to overcome some sort of internal fear, right? There's a lot of character development in a hero's journey, which is why they're usually associated with epics. You got your Star Wars, you got your Lord of the Rings, you got your Dune. Dune is a relatively new one. You have some Marvel movies. Yeah, they're endless. Interstellar, Inception, all those are huge journeys. There's usually some sort of face-off with the antagonist, while the hero is not fully self-actualized, and so the hero loses. And then that's when you get to usually the end of Act 2 and or the beginning of Act 3, where all hope is lost. And that's him crying under a shower, tears mixed with shower water, so he doesn't know which is which. Very sad. For the female, what's it called? The hero's journey. You usually have some sort of Giga Chad and or Nad, the non-threatening soft boy, who is the equivalent of these two for the female, although it can also be these guys, depending. There's many different variations of the hero's journey. There's no one, which is why you can keep making them and keep them interesting, but ultimately it follows this archetypal motif. The themes of the hero's journey are all the same. The female also faces the all hope is lost, crying under the shower. This is where they have to go into themselves, into their unconscious, into their deep memory. This is our hero with their dad on the beach, and then dad gets stabbed, and that's blood flowing out, he's dead. And the protagonist is traumatized, and that's how they ended up sort of living on this couch, unfulfilled, ruled by unconscious forces. So now we know the history behind that. And then they have to overcome this traumatic event and usually learn something from it, take some deep insight from it. And then all of a sudden they're able to overcome this failure here, because it was really this failure, this trauma that was holding them back. Not this. This isn't the big deal. This is. And so they're able to wield the sword of destiny and become the Giga Chad that they need to become. This guy's saying, fuck with me now. She's saying, I know who I am. So basically the female becomes more compassionate and self-understanding. She assumes self-mastery, and so she becomes the leader to the people. She says, we need to come together, because she leads the people through compassion and emotional intelligence. That's the female hero archetype. The male hero archetype leads the people through strength, physical strength, dominance, and military strategy. I have a plan. These are his compatriots, the useful female, the guy with the harp, and the Pikachu, cute animal guy. So he goes back to fight the antagonist with the sword of destiny, and these guys. Pikachu's jumping off. They got them all sort of surrounded because he's executing the military strategy, and he wins, of course, and becomes wise Giga Chad, brave, stoic, virtue. I think I spelled virtuous wrong, but you get it, virtuous. And the female becomes confident, compassionate, because the female wins through emotional intelligence and self-mastery. Self-mastery leads to emotional intelligence for the female, while self-mastery leads to physical dominance for the male. Those are the big differences between the two hero's journeys for male and female. So this guy becomes this guy over here via this. You can't just go from this to this. That doesn't make sense. And that, my friends, is let me turn sideways. Hero's journey in a nutshell for males and females. Let me know what you think. Thanks.